All right. So for the quick-minded people in the world that wants it quick, tell us a couple of points of that book, The New Psychology of Winning.
Okay, well, number one would be winners believe they deserve to win in advance. So you have to believe in your potential, and that gives you a passport to success. So you believe in your dream when that's all you have to hang on to. So that's a feeling of self-worth. But you don't get any confidence until you do something that works out for you. So confidence comes from doing, and self-esteem comes from thinking. So you begin to think that you deserve better than you have, and that you have potential, and that gives you the maybe motivation. And so that's one of the first things, is winners deserve to win. That's an old idea, though. The newer ideas are, when you're in a world like we are, and fast forward, with more changes in one day than in our grandparents' lives or decades, we realize that the digital world has an advantage and a disadvantage. The advantage is you have as much power as a corporation in your fingertips. You have all the libraries in the world in your hand, and you can make a choice. You can either turn the camera at yourself, or you can turn the camera from yourself outward. And instead of taking pictures of you with somebody, turn that camera around and look out from inside out. And therefore, dive deep. The book teaches you to dive deep in your self awareness and develop that why. Because you want to get rich, why? And what are you going to do with it when you get it? Then it gives you the answer to this. If it weren't for time, money, and circumstance, what would I be doing? So, what would I love to do every day if I didn't need any money, didn't have to work? What would I be doing? And you should be doing that right now. But most of us aren't, because we have to put food on the table. So, in the digital age, we have the ability to talk to people globally. That's great. But there's one thing missing. And the thing missing is, there's nothing that can take the place of being there in person for somebody. And that's one of the things the book teaches, is being in the moment, and not only reaching over and making a phone call, but show up for people in person, because we've been social distancing. I mean, we're learning to live our lives virtually, but nothing will ever take the place of you walking in, or you being at the back of the room of your children's recital, or showing up for somebody. Because no matter how many emails, how many Instagrams, how many Facebook you have, when you walk in that room, or you put your arm on the back of somebody's shoulder, and when you're there for them and with them, you're showing them that they're really important to you. So that's one of the things. And I think there's a little problem with the digital age, in that we lose some of the intimacy that goes in. Facebook Live is great, but it's not the same as being there in person. And the other thing that book shows is authenticity. May be one of the most important things, is developing trust. Always give more in value than you receive in payment. And don't expect to be paid immediately for the value that you give. It may be cooking a little bit. It may be planted and bloom in its own time, but always be willing to give first. And I think that differentiates the book. And the fact is, when you give your knowledge away, you still have it, so you haven't lost it. And you say, well, wait a minute, it's quid pro quo. You got to get paid. Well, no, by the value of giving more in value than you receive in payment, you'll always be sought after, and you'll be looked at as a bargain, and you'll be looked at as someone who absolutely, truly wants to help other people. So don't always demand the price in advance. Be willing to pay the price of success, which is doing things that may not give you immediate reward, but they will down the way. And I think, taking personal responsibility for outcomes. I think I explained that in a lot more depth, because it's been 43 years since I wrote the original book, and I think we're searching for personal responsibility and choices. And I think we're looking for empowerment instead of entitlement, because entitlement will be a prison, and empowerment will be a key. to the future. So we need to be empowered instead of entitled. We need to pay the price of success and put in the time. Discipline means doing within when you're doing without. It doesn't mean doing without. And a disciple is someone who learns from rather than is always on. And so the book goes more into that kind of thing, but it really discusses how to be in the moment rather than living for the moment, and how to be more authentic in a world really spinning fast where it's very difficult to push yourself up. So I think another thing that the book explains is that people are tired of being told that everyone else can make them $1 million overnight if they'll just buy their product. There is no weekend retreat. There is no app on your phone. There is no one formula for success. It doesn't happen that way. You have to put in, I'm not saying you have to put in years and years, but it takes 6 months to a year to change a habit, not 21 days. So in the book, it shows you that habits are called rewiring your brain, and it takes 6 months to a year because the old habit patterns took a long time to develop. So a new habit pattern takes a little longer than you think. Be willing to give yourself 6 months, a year. If you're in direct selling, give yourself, don't quit after 3 months, or don't look for the immediate big check. Give yourself some time and let it build. So the book is about stair stepping your way to the top, being authentic, and being in the moment instead of for the moment, and always giving more in value than receiving payment, being a servant leader instead of a status seeker. It's that kind of book. And the reason I wrote it is because I didn't have those answers. I thought you could do it quicker earlier, but now I realize it takes a little more effort than I originally thought.